What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today I actually managed to defeat the Voidboss 10, the first full stack of Voidbosses, like 10 Voidbosses on the Island 1. We don't have the ones for Island 2 yet, so yeah, well, that's about it for the moment. Still was quite the fight, I have to say. Wasn't quite as easy as the content usually is. If you remember Holo Campaign, we managed to go through there in like one stream. I think it was Island 4 there, on which we are right now, and we did like in 1 hour stream and defeated everything there, and it was the same for Void Campaign Island 5, also like a 1 hour stream where we cleared everything basically with one shot. Definitely not possible here. I failed boss 10 multiple times, I failed boss 9 a few times, I even failed boss 8. Still I got like a better team. And there aren't too many people that really managed to defeat boss 10 yet. I think you need around above like 450k. So I don't think if you have 450k that you managed to do. I don't think Mithem quite got it. I think he has 9 and not 10 yet. Same for JC probably, and no 7. And Enridin and all of the guys below there. So I think it's just like 450k and then above. It is quite difficult to see actually, because like you can get higher points. If you get higher points on like one of the lower ones, that's also a thing. You can see right here, I got the max points. Here, for example, I don't. So you can get more points from 8 and 9. So it's a bit difficult to say how far the people actually are. Jesus already suggested that the age should show the void boss that you defeat and probably order the list by defeated void bosses and then by points. And I was honestly at the opinion that, well, it would be quite enough if you showed the amount of void bosses defeated, because really that's what you care about. You want to defeat the last void boss, get all of this juicy loot, which is quite a lot, by the way. Half a million Stella just in there, quite nice. So I would say without further ado we hop into the fight, because it is a long one actually. So let's start into that. Again, recorded it on my phone, so the display ratio is a little bit different. People were asking about that. And I have to say, it was quite difficult. Worked on the second attempt here, though. So I'm quite happy with that. A pretty similar team to what you used to see in the Voidboss 8 and the Voidboss 9 video. Only difference here is we moved the HHA to the back row. I somehow had problems having him survive in the front row. And you can see it right here. That is one of the more difficult situations in the fight, and really RNG dependent. You could see how low my SQH just got there. And yeah, she can quickly die. You can hit her into Unbending Will, and that will be a problem around turn 5 and 6. What you want though is you want to defeat this boss at the latest by turn 6. If you struggle with survivability, have low HP buffs from the from Treasure Chain, then you probably want to do it a little bit earlier. Otherwise you might run into problems here. What I also did, and what is a little bit hard to see, I had MFF go right before LFA for 2 reasons. First reason was, of course, to set a poison dot. We had snake synergy here, and of course synergy from damage to poison targets from MFF. And also sometimes you can see above the void boss there's like, currently there was a sword symbol, you can see it right there at the moment. And sometimes there is the symbol for damage reduction. And we want to definitely remove that. That's only 1 stack, but it's 50% damage reduction. So yeah, quite insane. And before I had A2 LFA, well, the Divine Power gap to the boss, which has Divine Power 6. So we had a Divine Power 6 gap there also, was just insane. It had too much damage reduction, and I just couldn't punch through. And now that I have A2 LFA, Divine Power Gap is only 4, so that makes it a lot easier. You can see there is some quite potent damage here, even though, well, the boss doesn't quite melt as in my Voidboss 9 video, which is also a little bit of RNG here. What surprised me a lot is not that kill right here, but what follows now, which are 9 rounds of killing minions. And that had me quite scared, because I have no idea actually if this has a round limit. I know from, well, my own experience and Jesus' video, of course. Jesus made a great video on Voidboss 10 as well, with quite a different team. He used DTV, by the way. And he also showed a chart where you can see how many points you will get. And, well, that of course, means you want to get very low points, very low rounds, not points. Points would be good if they got some high points. But yeah, that didn't quite work out. On Voidboss 9, I just punched through those minions, and those weren't really a problem at all. Here, on the other hand, nothing like that. We took a long time to beat them. And yeah, that ended up ruining the points I got for Voidboss 10. So I will try it a bit more, try to get a better attempt, enhance the attack a bit more, you can see that. From the team itself, we use the transition skill of MFF, which hits the enemies with damage reduction. You can see it now or right on all of those minions. No longer those buffs rotate all the time. That helped a little bit because the DGN actually multiplies that, spreads it across all of those enemies, and that helps. Then we had the SQH transition skill. I skilled her for heal effect from the A2 effect, just to buff the core healing a little bit, because you will oftentimes get punched below the shield level. You will actually lose HP, and healing then is quite difficult if you only heal really is the core of HHA and some end of round heal by Hellora, which Hellora was at attack just to buff LFA a bit further. Still, I used Crown on her. I used Crown on all of those heroes. Proved to be the best, actually. And yeah, that was now the kill. You can see here, let's scroll back a little bit. Don't want to see those insane heals. We want to see the damage numbers. You can see here we had a minor contribution to the damage by DGN, not too much. DGN has a nice roll though, we will look at that in a second. And most of the damage really done by LFA, by stealing this boss's attack and enhancing his own with it. So let's look over the team. Let's see all of the setups on the heroes, so you can copy that maybe and try it on your own. So back in the hero list now, let's take a look at all of those heroes. I tried to keep most of them skilled as they are. Couldn't quite resist the urge to use my new resources that I got from clearing boss 10 on my LFA, so he has a little bit higher attack and HP stats. On Natalia, we got like a little home, 23 million attack, about 2 billion HP. The roll was quite interesting. We had skill damage, armor break, taunt immunity, giant killer. You by no means need taunt immunity. It was just random that I got that. And yeah, you don't need that. I think it helped a little bit. I think it helped a little bit because in some rounds it just hit the minions and she couldn't be taunted, so the probability of her hitting the boss was a little bit lower. Though not by quite that much, because as we know, active skill hits 4 random enemies, which means like, yeah, that's like 80% of all enemies on the battlefield. So yeah, kind of difficult to not hit the boss. The idea of using her though is mainly we want to replicate those debuffs, because we have a lot of them. We have attack reductions, we have damage reductions. I don't know how you say that. Do you say that like that? That's a little bit weird. And then of course buff duplication. We want to duplicate the buffs to our LFA. I was actually lacking one sublimation that might have helped a little bit, not too much. Some of those attacks reduce armor a little bit. With that, that would have not been a problem for my LFA. Didn't really matter too much. Mostly we were looking for the buff replication. And you want to, of course, have your LFA as damage dealer and as highest attack on that. So that he gets all of those buffs that Doppelganger Natalia replicates to him. So that's quite nice. Otherwise, in terms of setup, not really that great. Just had 1-star Rezo gear actually on her holy damage, skill damage stone. You could have gone for like HP, that would be fine as well. Didn't really do too much damage, you saw that. So that didn't matter too much. Honestly, I don't think it would have mattered any stone that I put on her. If I put block HP, that probably would have performed the same. The crown was important, of course, and I gave her some 6-star boots just to make her slow enough so that she doesn't attack before my LFA and doesn't attack before my MFF, and afterwards there, well, the order doesn't really matter anymore. But because we have this roll with 85 speed, she is quite fast, and that could have been a problem because speed order is a bit important here. Then we had like Mystic Fairy Freya. No fancy roll, block damage reduction, control immunity offset. Actually, this roll is entirely useless. I didn't re-roll that. And we are actually at 199% block, which we don't need. 76% damage reduction, which is 1% over cap, and we gain some in the stage as well. So yeah, not really the best in that term. Attack, she's fastest, 2296 speed. We had 3-star gear on her, and most of those support heroes, as you can see, damage reduction, block, control immunity, or armor, depending on the hero. I use control immunity on Freya because I actually want her to hit like all of those heroes. You can see here deals 1600% damage to all enemies, evolutionary factor for a bit of dodge, mirage point on 2 enemies, and dealing damage for 2 rounds, and removes 2 attribute buffs from them. And we are hoping to remove the 50% DR buff from the boss so that our LFA can hit hard. And then we have active skill, a transition power gain, just for the reduced damage reduction that we have here. A lot of Fear Aspen, on the other hand, we can see now with a little bit higher stats, you have to probably reduce that by like 5 million HP or something, and about 500,000 attack, 30 million attack here, 2.69 billion HP, armor 7,905. We got a little bit of skill damage, we got a little bit of precision, crit 55%, crit damage actually overcapped, which is a little bit bad, armor break 68%. Keep in mind, the treasure train buffs for Void campaign are active here. We will look at them in a second, and they pretty much max my armor break and give me a bunch of precision as well and some additional crit, so that fixes the build basically, and well, it's optimized for damage in that sense. Those were the skills. Holy Damage Skill Damage Stone, we got Crown on here, 3-star gear, full 3-star gear, and second highest speed. And I also used Shared Fate. In general, on all heroes I'm Mending Will, and on all of them also Control Purify. Don't really want them to be taunted. Most of those are better off not hitting the boss with their basic. Like if you can avoid that, that's pretty good. So Control Purify, in my opinion, is the way to go. Some people run Attribute Reduction Purify just because there is this armor debuff. I personally didn't like that. I would much rather avoid hitting the boss. On LFA, we want to hit the boss. He always hits the boss. He hits the back row with the basic, so that hits the boss. And with his active skill, we definitely want to hit the boss. So if he's taunted, that doesn't matter at all to us. And that's why I just decided to give him some more attack with Shared Fate. Precision, crit damage, full sublimations, of course, active skill, transition power gain. And then we have the additional damage that caps at 1500% of Lord of Fear Aspen's attack. Didn't go for the energy drain. The boss gets hit quite a lot. It didn't really reduce the amount of active skills that he did. And yeah, you can read that for yourself. That's just some extra damage. Then I went for SQH, attack stone, which isn't optimal for more heal. I would have liked to use this one, but she is also the best tenant that I had for LFA, so I kind of made a compromise here and went for the attack stone. We had the crown on here, double attack, which is also not optimal for the heal. But yeah, it is good for the attack on LFA because she provides a ton of those. Then again, active skill, transition power gain. And here we have the additional increase of effect of being healed by 50%. And that pretty much made us able to heal quite a lot. We can actually take a look at the heal numbers for a second because we just skipped over that. So let's see how much that actually gave us. And yeah, you can see the heal numbers here. Pretty massive heal by LFA, of course, but yeah, he does only heal himself. And then we have some major heals by the other heroes, which look like nothing right now. But I can assure you, those are multiple times the HP of those heroes, so we have some pretty strong heal. And SQH actually heals the entire team at the end of the round, so that's quite good as well. But you can see some big heals were definitely present here, and I think that helps quite a lot. There are some other options for SQH, we can also take a look at them. But if we go in that, you can see like it's a damage reduction. We don't really need that. We are capped anyway for all of our heroes because of our Void campaign treasures. And then we have increased all allies energy by 20, which kind of can help. It's like every second round you get the skill, maybe every third round sometimes. And then you gain 20 energy. And I didn't feel like this is massive. It only really helps when MFF dodges and doesn't gain energy. But like that happens so rarely that I didn't think it was worth it. I would rather go for this one and just gain a good heal. So that was the intent behind that. Got SQH covered. Then we only have to go over Hypers by Santa Ilamak. I try to get as much attack on him as I can. He has like this wonderful shield equal to 860% of attack. And then below here increases self-damage reduction, 15%, restores self HP equal to 430% of Hyperspace Hunter's Ilamax attack when Allegiance ends, or the shield becomes inactive. So he is the guy that provides us with shields. And in my opinion, that's quite important and that saves you a lot. So I tried to enhance him and make him as tanky as possible. And the funny thing is, he didn't feel tanky. He didn't feel tanky at all. And look at those stats. Like look at this before. Like skill damage, crit damage, giant killer. I had holy armor, divine block even on here before. Didn't do anything. I don't know. 11,994 armor. We have 158% block, which is insane. 68% damage reduction, which gets capped. So we're like absolutely insane on all defensive stats, and still he didn't feel tanky at all. Setup, nothing too special. We went attack. We went with crown. We have like what we have on most heroes, the crit damage, decreased crit damage received. They do indeed do crit damage, which is weird. Like most PvE enemies don't. Well, that's not true entirely. Like most boss style PvE enemies don't, like Sealand and stuff, but they do. And so I use decreased crit damage received. We have the control purify here. And in general, you will find this setup for the enables or like something with HP on all of those heroes, unless I had to adjust the speed aura, then it can be a speed imprint. But you can look that for yourself. Damage reduction, block, and here we have armor. So as I try to make him as tanky as possible, as he, kind of tended to die. Last one, nothing fancy here as well. It's like attack. It's crown, same setup. Nothing too fancy on the Holmes Young, not even any sublimations. But we had the core, and that was what we were mostly looking for. I used this core. We had core liberation 7, which is not quite 8, but it's a little bit below. And you can see that gives us every time our heroes take a hit, restores them by 8% of max HP, 16% attack buff, 16% armor. And from what I've seen, that can be multiplied or can be replicated to our LFA by DGN. Doesn't quite last very long, but can be impactful indeed. Would have been nice to have her faster than LFA, but the thing is, like, the boss apparently gets the DR buff when he's hit, so I really don't want to risk that. Only thing we could have done is like DGN fastest, then MFF, then LFA. This is something you can try. I encourage you to experiment around with it. The most solid way was what I've done here. I felt so. That is what I've gone for, but you can definitely try that out. That's something you can definitely experiment it. So last but not least, our treasure train boss, because before this very lengthy video comes to an end. And here we have like 7.2 million attack, 760 million HP, and some warrior buffs, all of those buffs as well, of course. And Void Campaign, skill damage 160%, armor break 23.7, as I said. 19% damage reduction is also quite important. We have holy damage, we have some maim, control immunity, armor, damage reduction by attack, 34% precision, and the 17% crit are what you have to keep in mind when you look at the stats of the LFA mainly. So if there are any further questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Other than that, I hope you have a great time with those bosses. I certainly had. For most of you, I think it's still a little bit off, though I managed to clear the first one on my Amazon account as well. So I guess the first, or maybe the first 2 ones, are pretty mid to late game, I would say. And maybe you also had some fun with it already. I sure hope you can get a clear there. And I wish you guys a great day. And we'll see us in the next one.